National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures, college football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds, NBA odds of division winners and playoffs, Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds, the National Hockey League Conference playoffs and Stanley Cup odds, and boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spreads and outright winners, also during the game. Use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage, for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, it's time to experience the O's on the Original Sports Podcast.
Fellas, here we go. Football takes center stage finally. It's in the middle. There's no better place for us to be. It's clear at this time of year. We will go around the NFL today. We'll talk some college football today. We'll even dabble in Shohei Ohtani today. He needs mention. He did some serious damage with the bat this year. His season was one for the ages. So we'll talk about that a little bit. How you doing tonight, Chops?
Well, I'm good. I'm ready to rock and roll.
I'll bet you are. Sheen, I like that blanket you got on behind you now. That's nice.
Yeah, the command center's going through a little change here. I got stuff everywhere now, so I couldn't flip it today. Usually I got the TVs behind me. They right here now watching Cincinnati Reds and the Commanders highlights. But yes, got the bikes, got the dartboard and the bikes behind me today.
Hey, I was thinking to myself when Baseball World Series comes on, or playoffs and all that stuff, you'll be able to do it all. I used to like when college football had a game on, like starting on Tuesday night and run into Saturday. Did you guys remember that? That was maybe a handful of years ago.
Yeah. They would do
like a MAC game.
I think as the season gets later, the MAC does that.
I hope so.
I was about to say, they're not big schools. They're not the Power 5 schools, but you will get some.
I'm going to tell y'all what I don't like. 2 Monday night games.
Oh, I don't know, man.
You like that?
I liked it. Well, here's the thing. Because if we only had the Bills and Jaguars, that wasn't even a game.
No, that game was over at half.
Yeah.
That was why. And I'll be honest with you. I normally like the Sunday matchups better than the Monday night matchups. Normally. And last night, had Buffalo and Jaguars been the only show in town, but them Commanders came through for us and did the thing.
That's going to be fun to talk about them. Hey, fellas, I got 5 college games for us to talk about. Tennessee and Oklahoma, first game I want to talk about. They were both ranked and looking to prove themselves as ranked teams. Some thoughts on that. Let's start with you, Sheen.
Well, I can tell you that Oklahoma has made a quarterback change. They're going with I forget his name, but yeah, they switched quarterbacks. Excuse me. I thought it was a pretty good game until the quarterback play from Oklahoma. It just I think he was a freshman. The guy they played, I think he was a freshman. It's so hard to keep up with all these damn quarterbacks. Even like what's going on with Texas. I don't know. Is Manning the guy now? So I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I thought it was a good introduction for Tennessee to bring Oklahoma because it's their first year, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was a good introduction to let them know how it's played in the SEC. This ain't the big whatever they were in before, Big 12, Pac-12, what the hell they were in. But yeah, what were they in? Big 12?
In the Big 12.
Yeah.
They were in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Chop, some thoughts on Tennessee and Oklahoma.
Fellas, honestly, for the first 4 weeks, I don't watch much of college.
Man.
Hold on. Here's the thing. I did watch Michigan and Texas when Texas smacked them. I did want to see if Florida State, that's what scored. I wanted to see how they would do. and I watched USC and Michigan, of course. Wanted to see how that was. Who else was it? Notre Dame. Did they play USC? Who did Notre Dame?
Michigan played USC.
Who did Notre Dame play 2 weeks ago? No. 2 weeks ago, A&M. When they played A&M, I watched that game.
A&M.
Because, fellas, I don't put a whole lot into the rankings. And even if you take away the rankings, the teams to me aren't gelling for the first 3-4 weeks. Now, I'm definitely watching Bama and Georgia this week, regardless if there was ranks.
Yeah, 7:30 Saturday night.
Yeah, so I don't watch a whole lot of them because I don't like the rankings. And the first couple of weeks, they're playing our sister, Lady of Grace. So if you got big schools, I'm watching them, but I don't watch a whole lot. And Tennessee and Oklahoma, I wasn't.
I'll bet you that becomes more of a game down the road.
Yeah. It will.
They both do a nice job of recruiting, and they find themselves in the top 10 or the top 25 pretty regularly now. I know Tennessee had a drop-off there for quite some time, and then the last handful of years, again, they found themselves back in the thick of things. Hey, Alan said Michael Hawkins is going to be that quarterback this week.
That's him, yes. Thanks, Alan. Yep, that's him. I want to touch back on what Chop said, how like the rankings. I mean, I think the rankings are usually good for like the first maybe top 3 to 4, but then when you get teams like Notre Dame, who's like 7, like out of the blue, like, and they always stink. They're never that good.
Fellas, it was. It's been a minute. I'll admit it's been quite a while. And there were a few teams, and I want to say Air Force was one of them. So you know how long it was when, maybe 15, 20 years ago, where I stopped paying attention to the rankings until like the first 4 or 5 weeks. Reason being is if you're ranked high and you lose, now you don't fall as far, and then you can do okay. Where the year I'm speaking of, Arizona was winning, Air Force was winning, but they started out ranked so low, they never got to where I felt they should have been. So I still watch the football, but I don't like to look at any of, the ranking. Now, if it's late fourth quarter of a game and somebody's on upset alert, I'll turn that on.
Chops, is that the year they had that really good quarterback?
Yes. Yeah.
I can't think of his name, but I remember that season.
I think they won the Commanders Cup. They were beating everybody. They were nice.
Yeah. Hey, Schmitty, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining in tonight. Schmitty said Pitt is it. I'm a little skeptical on that. As much of a Pitt fan as I am, you guys, I'm a little skeptical on them being it. It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the schedule plays out for them because they've got some big dogs on the board. I will say that for Pitt, Eli Holston, he's legit, man. I really like him.
When you say big dogs, like the teams that were supposed to be big dogs really ain't big dogs. I'm just worried about Miami at this point.
Yeah. I mean, Clemson, FSU, those teams. I don't want to call – you're right, Rasheen. I don't want to call them big dogs. But compared to the recruiting that they do, compared to what Pitt gets,
true.
They're more of they get an edge.
And that's what I was going to get into. Before we come on, Dream had on the Big 33 picture from back in the day, and we know Big 33. And Pittsburgh the state of Pennsylvania is always highly recruited in football, right? They're always highly recruited. So having said that, how are these Pitt coaches allowing some of these players in football and basketball, football more so, getting them? I know, man, but all of them.
I think part of it too is the whole facility and all that stuff. They're playing.
Now, I have heard that because it's the way it's spread out around town. I have heard that.
When you say facility, I wouldn't say facility. I think it's the campus as far as urban city living. I think a lot of kids, don't want to play in an urban setting. And like I told y'all, when I went to Penn State in Michigan last year, I understand why kids go to Penn State. I think the crowd that's all that's there.
That's just what I was going to say. You're absolutely right. That's the only thing that's there. So you can get all these cats to go in the middle of nowhere, but the crowd is hype. If you had a decent team and you could recruit, and I got to believe Pitt, whether it's Dorsett and some of the other guys who went to the league, they should have the boosters. Now, I understand they can't get with Ohio State boosters and NIL money, but they should be able to produce and keep some of these kids in the state. A couple of them, give me one, give me something.
Yeah.
Also, kids like they go to that whole, like for me, I'm always go to your, like even in Maryland. Maryland has good kids, but for some reason they won't go play for Maryland. Like, why not make your state school good? You know, make a name here. Like, I don't want to go where they got a statue of Mark out front. You know what I'm saying? I want to go somewhere where I could get my own statue. But these kids, these kids don't. I will
say this about what Smitty wrote there. Pitt has benefited from the portal. They have.
Yes.
You know, they had a bad quarterback pickup a couple years ago in Slovic, but they have a good one right now. And he's not a true freshman. He's a redshirt freshman.
Yep.
You know, he's better than Drew Allar. And anybody who wants to debate me on it, go look at the numbers.
Here's my thing, though. Here's my thing. Yes, technically, they have benefit from the portal. But when I say benefit from the portal, I'm going to see a couple big names. You know what I mean? They have benefited from it. I'll give you that. But they're not getting the big time 5-star or the big money guys from the portal. And I understand, like you said, it could be the campus, it could be the coach, it could be the atmosphere is not hype. You're not thinking the same when you walk in to a Pitt game that you're thinking of when you're in a big house or you're in Beaver State. You know what I'm saying? So I get that. I get that.
Get out of Acrisure Stadium, then you got to get out of there. That's
they
the bottom
need their
line.
own facility.
The reason they pushed Heather out the door is because she dumped all that money into non-money making sports.
Yeah,
I read a big thing about that, and part of the reason they moved her on, she dumped all that cash into non-money making sports. Hey, shout out to our guy Frankie Cruz Jr. What's up, boys? Let's go Yankees! Yankees did clinch. Frankie's from our ESEN network, so thanks Frankie for joining us tonight. Appreciate it.
But to get back on what you just tapped on was, Pitt women's volleyball is #1 and Pitt men's soccer is #1 today.
I get it.
They do got some nice. That's the sound machine. Oh, you mean take it back? Okay.
Where is it?
Okay.
Where is it? Hey, let's move on to the next game. It was USC and Michigan. Again, we're talking about a couple of ranked teams. USC was 3-0, Michigan was 2-1, and if I remember correctly, Michigan beat shit out of them.
They didn't beat shit out of them, but they won.
Physically, they looked like they pounded them. I watched some of that.
In the beginning, it did, yes.
Here's the thing. Yeah, they did, but USC's speed came through. Now,
yes,
I was interested to see when they said USC, Oregon moving to the Big Ten. I wanted to see if they made them run through the gauntlet like the Ohio States or in the Penn States and Michigans, and how Penn State plays both Michigan and Ohio State, right? But having said that, because, you have the speed, but when you're getting punched in the mouth every week, about 5-6 weeks in, it's going to start taking its toll, fellas. Yep. So I'm interested to see how that plays a part in it. So, and to be honest with you, I'm glad Michigan won. I like Moore, the coach of Michigan. Don't understand how his agent couldn't get him a contract. You realize he's coaching without a contract. Never heard. Look it up. Moore does not, unless they signed within the last 24 hours. Moore, the University of Michigan head football coach, does not have a contract.
He's on a prove it deal, huh?
Yep, basically.
You're running on last year's deal, and you got to prove you earned a contract.
I'm just so flabbergasted at how they don't have a top-notch quarterback.
Yeah, okay, and I was going to say, I understand McCarthy got drafted, but here's the thing. Harbaugh, every year for the last few seasons, tampering, cheating, whatever have you. Moore does not have the cachet nor the pull that Harbaugh did. Or, you know what I'm saying? Do you think he is truly trying to walk the line, recruit, do everything on the up and up? And maybe that's why he's not getting any of these top guys? Because you have to think, man, I think Day probably did some shady stuff at OSU to get some of those guys, and he's got the NIL money. We know Harbaugh did some shady stuff. Half of his team was drafted last year. You know what I mean? But then you have Dabo, who said he's not using the NIL. Dabo, who's not paying he's not using the transfer portal, and his teams don't look like they used to. And as now you have Michigan, who a new coach can't risk being out there caught with his pants down, hand in a cookie jar. I wonder if that did play a part in who he got to the portal or whatever, because the name alone will bring in people, just Michigan.
Let's give him a year, though. Let's give him a year. Let's give him, a little bit of time to mess around, learn that porthole a little bit better. Let's let him get his feet wet as a head coach full time. I just think he's.
I like him, so I'm cool with that.
I like him a lot better than I liked Harbaugh. I'm not a Harbaugh fan. I'm not that Harbaugh fan. This one over in Baltimore here, he doesn't bug me. I think he's a pretty good coach. He's made some adjustments and stuff with his team as time has gone on in Baltimore, and I like him better. He's not as pompous. He doesn't think his shit doesn't stink. He's not that guy. So, yeah. Hey, let's move on. NC State and Clemson. Did you guys follow this game at all?
Not at all. Not a play.
I did.
Not a play.
I got so many TVs running here, bro. Yeah, I watched it. I had it on TV number one. It was, I think it was like 59-36. I think it was the final. But at some point, it was 59-3, and I guess Clemson.
And they must have just emptied out like the red shirt, whatever. The guys who are walk-on, hold dummies, 4-string guy. I mean, that Kluber looked really good, and NC State was ranked. Am I correct? NC State was ranked.
I didn't think either team. They were. What were they ranked?
They were like 24, I believe. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I thought so. I was like, wow, well, look at the ass beating they're giving them. It was kind of like Buffalo against Jacksonville on Monday night. It really was like a lot of big plays. They couldn't do anything wrong.
No.
They couldn't do anything wrong. That's why I said, a team like that playing Pitt, if they're playing like that, they're going to wipe Pitt out. I don't think Pitt has the dogs to compete with a team like that. But, that's neither here nor there. NC State and Clemson both have one loss going into that. But that puts Clemson at 3-1 and NC State at 2-2, both ACC teams. So we'll see how that plays out for those guys.
Fellas, if NC State is 2-2, no way did they go in that 2-1 rank. I didn't think either team. They might have been. You guys don't watch it better more than me. I didn't think they were ranked. But let me ask you this: was it a good game? I mean, like I said, did you turn it off when it was out of? Oh,
you could have turned that off beginning of the second quarter.
Yeah, I just had it on because I had games on and I was moving around in here and trying to put stuff up and
yeah. I was in transition. I had it on here. I was doing some stuff here before I went out and. I watched it. I mean, you could have turned it off beginning, maybe halfway through the second quarter because it was so dominant. It was a dominant performance by Clemson. Let's jump to this game. Miami is now the ACC favorite. Miami was in South Florida, right? And, it was a dogfight to start with. And then,
yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was. Like all the way to halftime. And then, And then,
do you think because that was a dogfight to start with until halftime, you think that exposed some things that Miami has as a weakness? It'll help other teams to play them.
I think South Florida has a bunch of Florida guys that didn't make it to Miami, and they hung around for a little while. They got players, obviously. They hung around for a little while, and then I guess Miami, wore them down.
Yeah, their depth and their skill level is at a whole is different. It's different.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not completely sold on Miami just yet. They beat Florida, in-state rival. They beat FAMU, the Rattlers, which they should have better talent. They beat Ball State, and then they beat USF. So I'm not sold on them just yet. Just
they
yet.
got 4 schools in Florida.
What's that mean?
I said they didn't have to leave the state for three games.
I know.
You know who said the same thing you just said, Chops? USF.
Well, they're supposed to say it, but they still had to know that Miami had better athletes than they had.
Oh, well, yeah. It was close, though. Like you said, it was a good first half. I said, shoot, I thought they was going to stick with them. I did.
We talked about this before. When you have better athletes, if you're playing on emotion in that first half, okay, great. Even when we saw Clemson going on emotion against Georgia in that first half, and then come second half, your better athletes are just going to shine.
Yeah.
Your better athletes are going to shine. You know what I mean? Because we know Dabo can coach. We already know that. He just didn't have the horses, the dogs that could run with Georgia. So
he has no transfers.
None. He don't mess with them. He will not mess with the portal.
Yep.
I want to see how long he's going to do that and be competitive.
The game might pass him by.
The board of governors is going to sit him down and say, you need to get into it. You want to keep your job and your big ass paycheck, you need to go into that portal.
Yeah.
That's the way things are going in college football. Because the last game I I had on the slate is top 5 football games for this week. I had Illinois and Nebraska. I'm a big I like that Raiola kid. I just like him. I know he's a lot. He tries to be Mahomes in the way he acts and does shit, but I like him. I think he's going to come into the league with some moxie and be successful. He just carries himself different. He's a true freshman too. Am I correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
He was on every week down here last year.
He what?
He was on damn near every week down here because he's from Georgia.
Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you what. I've been reading about that. I knew that he was from Georgia because I've been reading about that kid since he was a junior in high school. You know, he just got that moxie about him. You know, certain guys, they come out, they just have that thing. They just have that thing.
Well, his dad played at Nebraska. His dad's a D lineman. His dad was a black shirt. You know what I mean? So he was born around with that. Yeah. Call it what you want. He was born around that alpha male mentality. He really was.
And he's a pretty big kid too, isn't he?
What's that?
Yeah, Raul's a pretty big kid, isn't he?
Yeah.
And you know why else I like him? Because he's a paisan. He's a paisan. I bet they make pizzelles at his house machine.
I hope so.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Chops hates pizzelles.
I hate him.
You hate pizzelles?
Yeah, I hate them.
You don't remember this conversation?
And fellas, beside me, DiBiasio, Interior, and Merlaki, all of them, they were making it every year. I do not like Italian desserts. I love pasta, but I do not like Italian dessert. I don't like tiramisu. I don't like
that either.
I don't like cannolis. I'm not a fan of pizzelles. I'm not. I'm not. Now, you give me the pasta, and I'm not just talking about regular spaghetti. I like, I like the different kinds of pasta.
Fettuccine Alfredo.
Oh man, I know like Raiola, man, down here in Georgia, they was making Alfredo, and they was probably making spare ribs Alfredo, collard greens rigatoni,
peach tea.
Oh shit. All right, let's go into the NFL a little bit here, fellas. News and notes and scores. Philly at New Orleans kind of shocked me. That game kind of shocked me at first. I don't know. Saquon had a good game, but the Philly
he broke that 165-yarder. The play of the game was 3 Saints defenders running into each other and letting Goddard go 62 yards. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, it was Keystone Cops. And fellas, I mean, I know we have games to go over, but to me, and I was watching a lot of them, but it really came down to a few main stories for me, and I'll wait till we get to them. But to me, it was about the Cowboys, the Ravens, what they did. Of course, our Steelers, impressive them, whatever have you, but
we're going to move through these kind of quickly, Chops. The only thing I want to say about New Orleans is I like that D-line.
Yeah.
I do like that D-line. Man, Chase, Chase Williams, the guy who played with the Redskins.
Man, he looks sometimes you just need to change the scenery because he is a whole new cat. He is a whole new cat.
He was going down the line, making plays.
Yeah.
The kid from Damascus, Rasheem Brisset, he looks good. That's a good defensive line. Right. That really is. Hey, Giants at Cleveland. How about that shit? Talk about an upset.
Listen, I had Cleveland defense fantasy. I just knew I was getting 30 points. Knew it.
But see, it's the same any given Sunday, but that's also why I hate that. I hate that saying because on Sundays, no team is going to go have a perfect season. You'll see it in college. But fellas, I can't prove it, and you can call me and say whatever you want. The reason I don't bet on definitely pro sports, I think some of these guys come in and don't just say, hell with it. My check's already cleared. Just some of the performances I see are not inspired. They're not motivated. They're not. It bothers me.
I always thought that in basketball, but not football. Basketball, I always thought, well, I don't got to play defense because I ain't trying to get hurt. I'm trying to be like 40 and collect checks. But football, ooh, man, that's tough to say.
Well, here's the thing. If I have it on, I can send you guys a video on that play where Goddard broke when 3 guys ran in. I recorded it. You see the safety. He does not want contact at all. He gets to him and he's slowing down to wait for the other guys to catch up to him. But also that, though, even you can go in and have contact. Sometimes you act like you slip or you just don't go for a pass or a quarterback throws a bad pass.
Or you don't want to get fined.
Yeah, but it's just hard for me in pro sports, man, because you have any given Sunday, one team in all the years that we watch pro football has had a perfect season. It doesn't seem crazy to y'all.
Rest in peace, Mercury Morris.
Whoo!
Yeah, R.I.P. to Mercury. I didn't know he was from Pittsburgh, Sheen.
Evanworth, yes.
Yo, and he took that still being only the undefeated team on perfect season. He took that serious because they interviewed him every year, and he loved that. He
jumped all over New England that one year.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
You're right. He was serious about that. Malik Neighbors. That's a legit receiver right there.
Yeah, but I don't think Jones is going to be able to keep doing what he's been doing. Neighbors is dependent on Jones, not vice versa.
Yeah.
Hey, Beck going to be the quarterback next year there? They going to eat that money?
Who's
Carson Beck? Cam, how about Cam, what the hell's his last name? You know I'm talking about, the quarterback. The quarterback from it'll come to me, but the other really good athletic quarterback in college, Cam.
Oh, Cam, right? You talking about the guy from Miami or Utah?
Yeah, is that what it is?
Which one?
Which one did you say? Cam Wright, and who's the other one?
Cam Rising.
Cam Wright. I think that's the one they're talking about.
Miami.
Yeah, I think that's the one they're talking about. Chicago and Indy, fellas. Just a little bit of tidbit here. Just because you throw for 350 yards, don't make you a all-pro quarterback when you lose. Okay.
We gotta preface that by saying we ain't hating, but I agree with you.
You know, I'm not hating on the kid. I said this when we did our time capsule show. I told you Jaden Daniels is going to be rookie of the year. I told you that. I said that. I've been saying for over a year that Caleb Williams, there's something about him. He doesn't have that moxie like Raiolo has. Okay, he doesn't have that moxie. I don't see that. I see him being anointed without doing anything. He's got all those weapons, and he can't get it done. And then he came out. He kind of threw his defense under the bus and said, our D needs to step up a little bit here.
You can't do that.
I don't know if that's right.
I need to see. Well, first off, I need to see if he said that.
Okay.
I need to see if he truly said that, because there has been even before when we did the pre-draft, I've always liked Jaden Daniels. So, but now I didn't watch the game. They only won by 4, so it wasn't a whole lot of mop-up time. So So I'm not saying he was getting these yards late because it was out of hand, but he was getting them from 20 to 20 and couldn't score. What was going on? Throw for 350 in a loss?
I think he threw. Let me check. I know he threw. I was watching. They say he threw for a bunch of yards on short passes. Nothing too far.
A lot of yeah.
It was like one of those Mark Brunell 25 for 25, 300 yards, just dunking to the side, and then they were doing the rest. So yeah, that's what it was. It was a lot of short passes. It wasn't like, he's throwing.
Yeah, he averaged 7 yards a pass. He had 52 attempts and an 80 rating. He had 80. I got you.
Who had a higher rating than that? Justin Fields.
Yeah, hey, buddy.
Going back though, Anthony Richardson, not so much. He has not crossed the 50% barrier yet this year in completions. He leads the league in interceptions with 6, and he has not played a top defense yet. What's going to happen when he plays a top defense?
We'll see Sunday.
It tells me that he can't read a defense, and if he takes off, he's going to know he got hit against some top defenses. Cleveland's going to hit him. Steelers are going to hit him.
Before we leave, we gotta put all 3 of those guys out there on passing downs, man. We'll get to that.
Okay. Houston and Minnesota, that was an upset, fellas. Sam Darnold did go out of the game. He's listed as questionable for this week.
Okay.
But that was a pretty significant upset coming from Minnesota.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how a guy like Darnold bounced a little bit around the league, and all of a sudden he found his stride in Minnesota.
It's like you guys have been saying, man. They're giving out too much money to these quarterbacks who ain't doing anything. Yeah. Haven't done anything.
Yeah.
Only quarterback playing worth the money is Mahomes. And does he get paid as much as some of these? Is he the highest?
He's not even top 10.
Yeah, I was going to say he's not in the top 10 now.
And he's the only one worth his contract. I think there's one. Jalen Hurts is the only quarterback in the top 10. No. Yeah. I think he's the only quarterback in the top 10 that's been in a Super Bowl.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think. Because I don't think Stafford is in the top 10 anymore. I think Jalen Hurts is the only QB in the top 10 that's even been in a Super Bowl.
And Minnesota's doing this without Jordan Addison on the other side of Jefferson right now. Jordan Addison, he's still listed as questionable because of his ankle injury. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them. I think Houston will absolutely positively bounce back this week.
Oh, yeah.
That's not their MO. Every dog has their day kind of thing. Yeah, I could see that happening. And Minnesota's a little bit better than people thought. You lose a quarterback. They lost McCarthy. People didn't think they could get it done. It's just going to put, if Minnesota gets in the playoffs with Darnold, just gets in the playoffs, does this mean they've got a competition next year? Do they re-sign Darnold and McCarthy and Darnold battle it out? I mean, that's something to keep an eye on going into next year. Fellas, Denver went down to Tampa and won.
Another one. Another upset, in my opinion.
Currently, Bo Nix is the best rookie quarterback out there playing. Currently,
better than Daniels?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Okay. He can't be better than Daniels.
Other than Daniels, I'm sorry. Other than Daniels.
Okay. Yeah.
My bad.
Well, you figure May's not playing. McCarthy's not playing. Williams, he's suiting up, but he's not doing a whole lot. Who else we got?
Penix,
he's not playing.
No. But Nix is actually he went down to Tampa and he took care of business. That win for the Steelers out in Denver, fellas, doesn't look so much like a pushover when Denver just went on the road and won down in Tampa.
Right.
I mean, it just and then Tampa went into Philly, right? And beat Philly. Am I correct? On Monday night?
They didn't beat them. I thought Philly was 2-. Oh, man. I thought they beat them in Tampa.
Well, they might have beat them in Tampa, but I'll tell you what, they beat Philly. And that makes you scratch your head. But, here's what I want to say about all this. Preseason games. All those stars get 10 snaps. Maybe. This is their preseason right now, the first 3-4 weeks.
Right.
You get to the bye week for most of these teams, and that's when they start showing up because the guys have played enough.
Fellas, matter of fact, actually, Tampa Bay hasn't played Philly yet. They beat Detroit.
Okay,
they went into Detroit.
They went into Detroit. And then Detroit beat Philly, right? Am I right?
I don't think.
I might have my.
Detroit hasn't played. Why do you hate Philly? No, Philly hasn't lost to Detroit yet. Now, Tampa and Philly are coming up.
The 29th.
Okay.
Yeah, buddy.
The Eagles lost to the Falcons. The Falcons.
Jeez. Falcons squeaked that one out. But they got it, though. Yeah, they got it, though.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on from there. I'm going to kind of jump over Green Bay at Tennessee. I will tell you, Malik Willis had another week. There's another guy.
Malik Willis is exactly what I wanted for Justin Fields. That's what I wanted for Fields. And it hasn't been long. Willis has not been there long, but at least he's been in the study room, and he's not had to be the guy. He's been able to sit there and learn from the head coach, the quarterback coach, and a quarterback who's doing it. That's what I was hoping, because right now Fields, he's made some decent throws, but we're still looking at him for his legs to be the difference maker.
And
I want his scrambling to possibly be the difference. But when I say scrambling behind the line, buying time where he can still throw the ball. I hate him still running as much as he does.
Yes.
As a great offensive coordinator will do, his game plan will change every week. And if you think about the first 3 games that Fields has played for the Steelers, the game plan has changed every week. Every week. The first week he did a lot of play action, boot out throwing. Last week was more of a power running game, keeping the ball on the outside when he threw it. This week, he threw the ball down the middle, and then they ran a power game. It became a little difficult for them to run a power game because they had lost Jaylen Warren. But,
now, also on the same token, look at who first week of the season, we didn't know what the offense was going to do. I don't even think the coach knew because they hadn't had many live reps. So they kept everything away. As a word out of Pittsburgh was they were afraid to him throw it down because he might have got picked off. So that was that. Second week, what they're doing. In Denver was supposed to have a decent D line. They were supposed to have a decent D line, so they tried to go a little wide on him. This week, I think he was able to pass. Bosa going out early, fella, was huge. I think Bosa going out early in that game for San Diego was huge. There was no pass rush. So now with Indy, fast track, I'm looking. You're right, it does change because of who you play changes, but it's been helpful for Fields that there has been something that an experienced OC was able to exploit. You know what I mean? With what they're doing. So so we'll see it this week. It's not against a great D line. You know what I mean? So it's not against a great team. The offense is for Indy is abysmal. So I think our defense is going to feast. I'm deep for this one.
Carolina at Vegas. Carolina went into Vegas and won that game with Andy Dalton.
That's why I hate the NFL.
Yeah, is that proof that playing young rookies like that, a guy like Bryce Young is not ready, or does that just prove that Bryce Young shouldn't have been the number one pick? That he was possibly a circumstantial pick because he played for Alabama, who is always good, and they always have a bunch of NFL players.
Well, my take on that one. I always second guess anybody from those schools because, like you said, the other 10 might be 5-star legits. I'm just here cleaning up. I'm cleaning up what you and Chops left for me on the bone.
Here's the thing, though. Andy Dalton was sacked twice. That O-line actually blocked for him. Hold on. He was sacked twice. They had a rusher who went over 100 yards. That O-line opened holes. That O-line has not done any of that for Young. Young wasn't even having enough time to look at, forget progression. He wasn't able to do anything. That's what ticked me off. This O-line comes out and blocks like they've never blocked before. Come on, fellas. That was totally different.
But you also got to say, to me, you got to say, when you say progressions, was there passes that he should have had out already that he wasn't getting out, and he didn't get to go to the second progression because that's when they were on him. But listen, there's a lot of passes like even with Caleb Williams, he's missing that first read pass. You got to be able to get that first read out. If it's supposed to be there, it got to be there.
Big dog. His team, their lead rusher this week had 114. Before he had like 60, 65. Everything was clicking for him. And that just to me. But if you go back, if you can watch some of the first two games where Young is starting, those guys are in his ass like a wedgie. It was almost like the O-line were bullfighters. Ole.
So you're saying, I'm not saying you're saying, but it sounds like you're saying that they were in the locker room before when Young was playing, and he's like, "Hey, we ain't blocking for this guy today."
What was the movie your boy Adam Sandler? They remade it when he got the longest yard. Offensive line got mad at him and just let him get sacked. Seriously, I don't know if the offense hated Young. I have no idea. But fellas, there was a completely different O-line that showed up this week compared to last week and any other weeks. But that also speaks. Was he that much? I don't know, man. That's why I hate the NFL. We saw from a team this week that we hadn't seen for the last 17 games. Come on, fellas. People
Deontay Johnson was open.
He's a good route runner.
He had a touchdown.
He's a good route runner.
Yeah.
Detroit at Arizona.
That was another good one for. That was a good game for a bit of a time.
Yeah.
They got out of control. When Detroit did the hook and ladder, that's it. Just when it went down. Yeah, that was a good one. I like that one. I watched that one.
They executed that joker.
They did perfectly. That was a good game.
The Chiefs at the ATL.
Played down there.
Just seeing two teams gunsling it. Is that what we got out there for that one?
Yeah.
All right, let's jump ahead. Let's just jump ahead here.
Oh, you didn't do Rams and Niners.
I didn't get there yet.
Oh.
How about this one, fellas? The Ravens at Dallas. The Ravens were up, 28-3? And they held on for dear life. And I think our buddy Watson hit the nail on the head. The Ravens can't handle a no-huddle offense. They couldn't handle Dallas when Dallas went no-huddle.
Well, but here's the thing, though. I had said it to a couple of my other friends and other techs who are huge Raven fans. Man, Raven's been giving it up like a freshman at the prom lately. If you go back, right? I didn't realize it. Then 3-4 minutes later, they said since 2021, no team, no defense has given up more double-digit leads in the fourth quarter than the Ravens. Fellas, these teams are scoring on them well before they're in the hurry-up. I don't know if these guys are taking it for – I have no – and let's not forget, even these offenses, the Raven offenses, they're getting out ahead. I think they scored 28 with early in the third quarter and didn't score anything else.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's on both sides of the ball, but the defense is the one giving it up.
Mark Andrews he was irrelevant.
I know.
No catches.
He's killing me on fantasy.
No catches. He's doing nothing. It's all about Isaiah Likely now.
Yeah, yes.
What's going to happen with this guy?
I don't know, because 2 weeks straight they went to Likely, where I think if you go to Andrews, you got 2 wins rather than those 2 losses. I think the Ravens could be 3-0. You went to Likely, especially week 1 against Kansas City. I just think Likely didn't know where he was. Andrews would have known that. Andrews' back line and end zone, that's his money shot. I think
he's also coming off an injury too. So
yeah.
You know what I mean? So I ain't gonna get rid of him. Mark, if you're listening, Mark, I ain't getting rid of you, buddy.
Well, the thing with him too is he is injury prone.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean? Like
Mark, if you're listening, I didn't say that.
I did, Mark. I did. I'm gonna tell you right now, Patrick Queen can run with you, so I ain't worried about you. When you play the Steel City guys, I ain't worried about you. Patrick Queen can run with you. So, let's go to San Francisco at the Rams.
That was a great game. That was on the main screen here in the command center. That was an excellent game. Oh, that was a good game. Kyron Williams had I think he had 3 touchdowns. The Niners just kind of fell apart towards the end, and then they stopped them. It was tied. Then they stopped them. The punt returner damn near returned it for the Rams. Then all they needed was a couple yards, and they kicked the field goal and won. That was a good-ass game. They were down. I think 28-14 at one point. That was a good game. Excellent game.
What are we seeing with that team then in San Francisco? Because, they don't have Debo.
We're seeing without their stars, they can't do it.
Yeah, and you know what? CMC went to Germany to get an opinion on that Achilles. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, but what are the Niners now? But they had more starters out. They've lost 2 straight.
They had Debo out. They had CMC out. They had Kittles out.
Yeah. Because when the first week when those guys were playing and only CMC was out, they beat the Jets, which was pretty good, decent defense.
It is.
Which I was surprised. You know what I mean? Now, Minnesota's shocking everybody. You know what I mean? Minnesota really is. So, but here's my thing, fellas. I am not one to get caught up in the moment because at the end of the year, I got to believe. Now, the NFC's tight. The NFC is loaded. They really are. So that's going to be interesting to see if they'll be there at the end of the year. You know what I mean? Because the Seahawks are balling. So we'll see if they're there at the end of the year. But if they get these guys back, and I don't know how good CMC will be when he gets back, but the guy they got starting now, that running back, I like him regardless.
Jordan Mason.
Mason.
Yep.
So I like Mason regardless. So they're going to be straight. Now, once you get your offensive weapons and the receivers back, that's going to be a different bunch to deal with. So we'll see how that goes.
I'm guessing Debo will be back quicker. I know Kittle's supposed to be back this week, they said. I already saw it's questionable for Debo, but Kittle is supposed to be back this week.
I got you.
So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. The Patriots and Jets, guys, the only thing I want to say about that is, although Aaron Rodgers won that game, he still doesn't look like the guy he was
No.
Yeah.
But of
3 years
course
ago.
he won. So now they're singing his high praises.
Yep.
That's the problem with me in sports today. You only have to have one great whatever, and then people get lost in the moment, and that's what bothers me.
I think what bothers me, Chops, is his coach went up to celebrate with them, and he's like, "Get away from me."
But here's what I didn't hear anybody talk about that. Like, what happened? And it's not even when he pushed him away, he smiled like it was an inside joke. Rodgers, go ahead.
Rodgers said that the coach isn't a hugger, so he was shocked and didn't know what was going on. That's what
I saw that on McAfee.
I said that's weird, but okay. Even if
I get that. But if I just say you and I are just standing there and we're at the Steeler game and the Steelers have a turnover and I just hug you, you'd be like, Chops, what are you doing? You might laugh, grin, whatever.
Chops, pause.
Yes, he didn't do anything. He just looked at him and walked away. He never smiled and said, what are you doing? Listen to me. If it was a wide receiver, the things Aaron Rodgers has done to multiple teams, the Jets as well, the Patriots or Packers over the years, they'd have called him a malcontent, they'd have called him a diva, and they'd have been done with him. You leave, say there's a lot that Aaron Rodgers does because he's a quarterback, whatever. And I don't understand why he gets so much praise he gets. You have one ring. Trent Dilfer has a ring. One. I just don't get it.
I'm with you, Chops. You don't have to spell that to me. I'm not a Rodgers fan. Never have been a Rodgers fan. I think he's a pompous asshole.
Yes.
I had a guy that knows the family that I'm friends with, and he told me a story that I was like, damn, what a piece of shit human being.
Yeah.
I just don't have time for people like that, professional athletes like that. Miami at Seattle. Miami went up, got their asses handed to them. So let's jump into Shohei for the last, say, 10 minutes or so of the show, fellas. Shohei Ohtani, first 50-50 player, and he didn't stop. The game that put him to 50-50, he had 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, and 5 extra base hits. It was insane, the game he had. What do you say? Who do you compare him to? Who would you compare Ohtani to?
Whoever did 40-40, I guess. Barry Bonds?
Can't do that because you've seen, what is it? Because everybody's been putting that out there. Did Ohtani, one of these leagues who does all the rankings, his season this year is equivalent to Bonds' 11th best season. Ohtani can hit. We know that. Think about that. People are talking about how Ohtani's the greatest. He's the greatest thing since sliced bread, that or whatever. Will he go down as the GOAT? This is right now equivalent to Barry Bonds' 11th best season. So Barry Bonds has had 10 seasons better than Ohtani's having now. And we're talking about this guy being the GOAT, and you're only DHing. You're not even in the field.
Pause. Slow down.
Go ahead. I'm with you. Go ahead. Do your thing.
First of all, he ain't on steroids. Let's get that straight.
Hold on. We don't know what this cat is doing. We have no idea. Have no idea. Have you, other than a sumo wrestler, have you ever seen an Asian man that big?
Yeah.
You had to think where? Because you had to think for a minute.
I just said yes.
Ichiro was nowhere near that.
Chops. Listen, I'm saying for everything that he can do. Like he could be an ace pitcher, right, Mark?
Yeah.
An ace, not like, hey, I'm third in the rotation. The ace and the best hitter. Like the ace, and he's hitting 50 home runs.
I don't know
who else did that. Maybe Babe Ruth. I don't know. Was Babe Ruth an ace?
But what you're talking about now is the most dangerous word in the English language, potentially, because we have not seen him be considered the ace and get 20 wins as when he's still hitting 45, 50 home runs. We believe he can do it, but I don't even know what his record is in pitching, to be honest with you. Now, okay, so do you do that? Would you put him in the rotation as the second or third pitcher, and then you're still going to have him batting, or are you going to do that? Because you already realize that he has Tommy John, that he can't. Okay, we'll see.
He already has done that. He's DH.
Yeah, he did that a year ago, and whatever it was, the owner ligament, whatever it was, is healed, and there's big time talk that he's going to be pitching in the playoffs.
Listen,
big time talk.
I'm going to tell you what. On October 19th, I'm going to a gala in Pittsburgh. Josh Gibson gala. CC Sabathia is going to be there. He's being honored. I'm going to ask CC what he thinks. I'm going to get it on film, and I'm going to ask.
Okay, here's the problem. Everybody in sports now is in the kumbaya area. Let's exchange jerseys. Let's get him his bag. Nobody wants to be on. Okay, prime example. When Tua had his interview and he said, Brian Flores says you didn't deserve to be there. You're not that good. People raked Brian Flores over the coals. Why would you say that to him? When we all know Brian Flores was right on track. Tua wasn't that good. They were talking about after a second year getting rid of Tua to take another number one. So Brian Flores was right in what he said, but since he said it, you hurt his feelings. So Sabathia, now I'd like to know if Sabathia thinks when he played, if Ohtani could have been in the regular rotation and then pitched all his games, however many he needs to start, and then batted. I'd like to see that. Okay. I'd like to know that.
Are you saying, okay, I got you. So DHing and pitching in one, is that what you're saying?
Well, no. Well, shit, that's right. He's in the American League. I hate that. Because hold on. Because if he's DHing out, the Dodgers are American League, right?
National.
No, they're national.
Okay.
DH is both leagues.
Okay, so yes, if he's going to pitch, but if he's pitching, he wouldn't DH that game. So that I want to see him pitch and bat in the same game. Like
he's done that.
Yeah.
He's done that.
Hold on.
Effectively. Very effectively.
Hold on, fellas. He's done that for a few games. He hasn't done that for an entire season and hit 45 home runs and had 15 wins. That's what I want to see. Get through a whole season. Get through a whole season where you can either play the field, where you can pitch. And if you're playing a whole season where you're pitching and you're playing a whole season where you're batting, which one suffers? Which one is going to suffer? Because like right now, your boy Hunter from Colorado, he's able to go both ways because he hasn't played top talent. But I'm telling you, when he comes against Arizona and at McMillan Cat, or however you pronounce his name, he's not going to be effective both ways. That's where I'm tripping on. Right now, Ohtani is only DHing. He's not even in the field. So I need to see, I need to see a lot more, me personally. And I'd like to know this. How many more guys overseas can do or are doing what Ohtani does? Because nobody's ever allowed other players to go both ways or do it, you know what I mean? Or play multiple positions. I got to believe there's other guys. And because think about it, Ichiro came over, wasn't a power hitter, but Ichiro could hit. And still, so I'd like to see if there are more guys over in the Japanese league that can do what Ohtani's doing. I'd like to see that.
His career regular season stats, he pitched in 86 games. He's 38-19 with a 3.01 ERA. He's pitched a total.
Hold on. He's pitched in 86 games over how many seasons?
I'm giving you innings now. 481.2, 608 strikeouts, and his whip is 1.08. I mean, you break that down however you want to break that down.
Well, I don't know, because again, I don't know how many seasons has he been in the league? How many seasons has he?
Ohtani came into the league in 18 with the Yankees.
Okay.
Listen, so in 2023, he hit 310 with 40 home runs. He had a 3.32 ERA at 124 and 160 Ks, bro.
Okay.
If you ever have one season, that's arguably the greatest ever. They're saying,
Okay, hold on. Who's the top pitcher in the league now, and what do they end the season with? How many strikeouts? You guys know better than me.
The league right now is a kid from Detroit.
Yeah.
Well, even if you went last 2-3 years, what does the top guy have most strikeouts? Are they hitting 200? Are they hitting 300 in a year?
I don't know. Hitting 200. They're definitely hitting 200. Skeens would have hit 300 this year if he'd have had a decent team and a regular start from the end of March when they begin baseball. I promise you that.
I also think they pull them when they shouldn't. I hate that in baseball now.
Well, he's a terrible manager. Wait, that's a whole freaking another conversation. The guy in Pittsburgh has lost 100 games twice, and he still has his job.
Mark, did he egg your house or something? You hate him. Mark hates him.
He's right. The dude's bad.
Chops, if you did your job that bad, do you think your company would retain you?
Hey, yeah, Chops.
But you can't hate him.
Chops, but we're bringing you back next year.
You gotta bring that. You gotta hate the owner.
Yeah, Chops, you suck. Hey, but we got a Christmas bonus for you. Here you go. Nobody doing that. Like,
I deliver for Pepsi and tell all my clients to go to Coke. But I don't know, man. I blame the owner. The manager's going to keep showing up if the check's clear.
No doubt. You
know what I'm saying? And I don't understand, fellas. Let's keep it a buck. I don't understand why that clubhouse is not revolted either. They have an ace. They've got some bats. They, with effective managing, could be in the mix. I don't see why nobody in that clubhouse is not there. What's that?
You realize that, right? They should be one of the wild card teams.
Yes. And why?
Okay, so here's my problem with the manager, Chops. He keeps trotting guys out there that are hitting freaking below the Mendoza line. He keeps trotting guys out there out of the bullpen. Bednar, he's blown 8 or 9 saves this year, but yet he keeps putting them in save situations.
And I'm getting you, but why is the clubhouse not revolting? Because years ago when Kent Jacoby and Ed Hart, years ago, you could do things in the locker room that we wouldn't find out. But now everything is out there. Why are the players not? Because they have guys that can swing the stick. They have effective pitching. Why is the clubhouse not revolting against this cat, saying, why is he still our manager? Why are you saying, or I don't get it.
I don't have an answer for it. Even better, why is the city not revolting against him? Because they lose money when the Pirates don't draw crowds, especially those places around the stadium. I can tell you for a fact, this is 3-4 years ago, me, Vince, and my brother went to a game, and it was competitive the first 4 or 5 innings, and the Pirates got blown out. So we left. It was the 7th inning. It wasn't even 9 o'clock at night, fellas. It was like 8:30, and all the bars around. A Thursday night in early August, and all the bars around that stadium were closed.
Are you serious?
Yes.
I remember within the last 7 to 8 years, my parents being able to go to a game if they say bring a canned good. They say go to a can. Because my father was like, I grew up watching the Pirates. I'm not paying to watch this. But my father loves baseball. Yeah. So I'll go take a can of corn. We ain't gonna eat it any. You know what I mean? But I'm like, PNC, a beautiful facility, beautiful park. You have pitching. You have bats now. You know what I mean? And the city, we stand for it. The players in the clubhouse stand for it. I don't know, fellas.
You think at this point, though, and we got to get done here. We're getting close to the end. But you think at this point that this guy would look at the model of the Steelers and the Penguins, realizing that when you spend money and bring players in, that you put more butts in the seats, and that brings more money to you. I don't buy Pirate gear anymore, fellas.
No.
But I buy Steeler gear, and I buy Penguin gear. Okay?
City of Champions. Remember that we call it City of Champions?
Amen.
Man, that's I can't believe. But again, can't blame the coach. As long as those checks keep clearing, that clown is going to keep coming.
Yep.
Man, I'd like to reach out to see if he'd come on the show. You're terrible. You're terrible, but they keep bringing you on. Are you shocked? Do you go home and tell your wife, babe, I can't believe these some guys, they keep paying me.
Yeah. Go check our bank account. He still pays me to be shitty. I just had a 10-game losing streak, and I lived through it. How about that, baby? And they're bringing me back next year.
His wife tells him, see what else you can do, how bad you can get. Wear a Yankees hat and a Red Sox shirt to the park on TV and see if they'll still keep you. It was like, yeah, I bet you I can do anything and they'll keep me. I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Hey, fellas, we got to get to the end here. Time's running out for us. Our Roku station is about up for tonight. It's been a fun show. Just recapping some of those games, taking a look at college football. Yeah, Sheen, you have a question for us tonight?
What again?
You got a question for us tonight?
If he doesn't, I do.
Sorry.
Hit us
real
with
quick.
it.
Do you think the Dolphins and the Jacksonville Jaguars front office are rethinking all the money they gave these cats?
Absolutely.
No.
That's a whole show there.
They have to.
Absolutely.
You knew Tua was concussion prone. Lawrence.
Yeah. He should have a concussion and get the hell
I
out
do
of
have
here.
I have a question. I made some Kool-Aid the other day. My wife doesn't like me making Kool-Aid. What's your favorite Kool-Aid growing up, Chops?
Don't say mine.
Yes.
Oh, mine was cherry all day. Not red, cherry.
Mark?
My favorite is grape.
Not purple, grape. Exactly.
Grape, yes.
You make it when you pour so much sugar in, you see the Kool-Aid rising. How much sugar do you can't put don't put I hate when brothers make Kool-Aid. It's so sweet. You get a toothache after the second glass. No, dog. But
Hey, fellas,
you see the sugar rising.
It's been fun. Make sure you tune in to see us next Tuesday night at 7:00. Actually, this cat won't be there, but my boys will have complete control of this thing. Shane, tell them where they can find you at.
Social media.
He's on social media. You can find him at Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and the X. You can find him there at Chops. Where do we find you at, my man?
On the gram, you find me at Big Shop 79. On Facebook, you can find me at my government, Michael Gregory Mills, and on the X, the real Big Chop 79. Don't hate cheese toast. Don't hate cheese toast.
Shit. Hey, you can find us at OSP with MM or Original Sports Podcast. You see it right there underneath my name, The Barber. You can also check out our webpage, podpage.com, Original Sports Podcast. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok. We push a lot of stuff out on some of our clips lately. So check out our clips, and you can also watch this show if you didn't catch it in its entirety on our YouTube channel. Big shout out to our networks: Let's Talk Sports, Sideline Sports, Elite Sports and Entertainment, Peak One, and Manning Media. Again, don't forget to catch our show on Roku. If you came in late, it's on 7:00 Tuesday nights. Feel free to reach out to us with any comments, questions, suggestions on the Original Sports Podcast at gmail.com. Thanks to Medley for doing our voice intro. Thanks to my guy, Charlie Hodgson, for doing our music. Don't forget to join us next week to experience the O on the Original Sports Podcast.
Yeah.